I've practiced this one a few times. Hey, what's up guys? I am Carlos Gonzalez with Big Block Realty, and in this video, I'm gonna talk to you about the pros and cons of living in the GASLAMP quarter. All right, so the GASLAMP quarter is one of the most popular tourist destinations here in San Diego because it literally has it all. There's a ton of restaurants there, there's a ton of bars, there's dive bars, a bunch of nightclubs, it has a few theaters. You have Petco Park where the San Diego Padres play 2 blocks up the street, and you have the convention center across the street, which is a very, very popular location for all sorts of conventions. There's literally something going on there every day. If you think about Comic-Con, the San Diego Convention Center, that's exactly where that takes place. And the GASLAMP quarter streets are just filled with people at all times. For example, right now there's something going on. I was gonna try and do this over there, but the place is packed. Very often they do block parties. Today is one of those days. They do block parties for St. Patrick's, for Halloween. So it's a place where it's happening, and it's happening all the time. And because it's such a touristy place with a lot of restaurants and a lot of entertainment, there are very, very minimal buildings in that area. There's only a few of them. I want to say less than 5, but the most popular ones are GASLAMP City Square, Trellis, and then there's another one. I think it's 777 6th Avenue, which is, it's actually just lofts. So it's like open spaces. They don't have bedrooms. It's just like a loft, like a New York loft style of apartment. But that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. And the cool thing about being in the GASLAMP, like I said, you're in the middle of everything. So before I go any further, I'm gonna talk about the pros first, and then we'll cover the cons. So some of the pros, the very first one, and the most important one, is location, 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 right? Being there is because you wanna be, if you're gonna live in the GASLAMP, is because you wanna be in the center of it all. You wanna be able to take advantage of all those restaurants, all those bars, all those clubs, to be able to just walk 3 blocks up and you're in Petco Park, and you walk a block, I wanna say south, and you have the convention center, which faces the marina, and it's very nice for walking, jogging, going for a nice run and stuff like that. And then below the convention center, you have the headquarters and Seaport Village, which is a very popular tourist location as well. So if you're gonna live there, is because you want to be in the middle of everything. Like I said, there's only a handful of buildings that are residential buildings. You have number 1, GASLAMP City Square. I'm not a big fan of GASLAMP City Square. You don't have balconies, so it feels a little tight. And the only units that have balconies are the units on the first floor that face a courtyard, and that's where the pool is. And those are the only units that have some sort of a balcony or something like that. And then you have Trellis, which is a more thorough building in my opinion, per se. It's kitty corner from the original spaghetti factory, across the street from the Hard Rock Hotel. Actually, from some of the units in Trellis, you can see the pool area at the Hard Rock Hotel. That one does have balconies, but it doesn't have a pool. So, and I think those are pretty much the only buildings that are worth mentioning in the GASLAMP. And like I said, the big thing about living there is the location. You want to be in the party scene, you want to be in that whole restaurant scene. Now, another pro of the GASLAMP quarter is that you have the Marina District 2 blocks down the street. Now, the Marina District is a highly residential neighborhood, and it's adjacent to the GASLAMP quarter. So the GASLAMP quarter covers from 3rd Avenue to 6th Avenue, all the way to Broadway, and then all the way to Harbor Drive. So below 3rd Avenue, that's considered the Marina District. That's where all the cool buildings in that area are. You know, first of all, you have the Harbor Club, and you have Meridian. Those two were the original luxury buildings back in the 90s. But you also have Pinnacle, you have Horizons, you have the Renaissance, which is really cool because it's 2 buildings that it almost looks like they're moving. So it's really cool. So you have a lot of different options to pick from. You have City Front Terrace, which the outside, it's a brick veneer, so it feels very New Yorky when you're in City Front Terrace. And you also have a gazillion other smaller buildings that maybe are not considered luxury buildings, but are pretty cool buildings, like 101 Market, and you have 235 Market as well, which is really cool. It's a nice average building, your typical 2-bedroom, 2-bath goes for low 700s to mid 700s, or 1 bedroom, 1 bath, somewhere around 525 to 575. When in some of the other buildings, just the Harvard Club alone, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, anything there is going to be roughly in the millions. So that is another plus of living in the Gaslamp Quarter, which, of course, I'm saying it as a joke, because the reality is that if you like being in the Gaslamp Quarter, you're going to want to live a few blocks down the road, which is the Marina District. Because there is a highly residential area. There's a bunch of parks around there, very, very minimal businesses around there. And then whenever you feel like going to a restaurant or going for a drink or partying at night or whatever, you just, walk up the street 3 blocks and guess what? You're in the Gaslamp District. So that is one of the pros. The Gaslamp District, buying property in the Gaslamp District is mainly for investment purposes. You will buy something there and it'll rent out right away. If you're saying, all right, I want to see where I can invest here in downtown San Diego, the Gaslamp District would be a great place for that because of everything that's going on in that area. The price per square foot is not as high as in some of the other areas in downtown. Therefore, you can get a pretty good deal and you can buy an investment property there. Or if you're all about that, restaurant and night scene kind of life, by all means, you can live there. Of course, if you're like a couch potato, then then that is not the place for you at all. Now let's talk about the cons. And it's funny because this is an oxymoron. It was the best of times, it was the worst of times. And the biggest pro about living in the Gaslamp is the location. The biggest con about living in the Gaslamp is also the location, because with the location you have a constant noise, you have traffic, you have a bunch of homeless dudes just roaming around the streets, drunk people, left and right after 8 o'clock. So you have all that kind of activity that you would get from any big restaurant, bar, nightclub kind of area. So for example, if you have visitors that are not from downtown and that they're coming over, good luck in getting parking, And if you're able to find parking, you're looking at about $20 for 4 hours or something like that. So, and if it's a game night, San Diego Padres game night, forget it. It's sometimes it's even higher than that, $35, $40 for 4 hours. So parking gets very, very difficult. And like I said, it's also, even though it's the biggest pro, it's the biggest con as well, the location in itself. Another con about living in the Gaslamp, and I think this is an important one, is that if you commute to work, if you have to be doing a lot of driving in San Diego County in general, it's a little tough, because just so that you can get an idea, the Gaslamp District covers from 3rd Avenue to 6th Avenue, and the freeway exits are around 16th Avenue. So sometimes just going from the freeway all the way down, it can take you a good 15 minutes. When traffic is crazy, it could probably take you, I want to say closer to 20 minutes. Very rare it gets to that point, but it can definitely take you on average between 10 and 15 minutes to go from the freeway exit to your apartment, to your condo in the Gaslamp District. So that's a really big con, that if you have to be hopping the freeway a lot and you have to be driving a lot and commuting and stuff like that, it's going to take a while. Things as well, there are no gas stations in the Gaslamp District. The closest gas stations are going to be closer to the freeway exits, like around 15, 14 Avenue. So again, if you're low on gas, you want to make sure that you plan accordingly. But anyway, to summarize, the pros and cons about living in the Gaslamp Quarter are the same thing: location and location. So that's it for this video. If you guys have any questions, give me a call, send me a text. If you want to go see property in the Gaslamp Quarter or anywhere in downtown, or if you want to list property anywhere in downtown, give me a call. I'm your downtown expert and I'll be more than happy to help. And again, I'm Carlos Gonzalez with Big Block Realty. See you guys next time.